Hello again. Hey, Fire Agate Mark here, and I was working today. I decided I was going to work on some medium grade. When I'm going through these stones, I'm choosing them all by hand. I try to get rid of as much overburden as I can. Whatever breaks off, I'll throw away. If the stone doesn't have any color, if I can't tell that it has any color, I'll toss it. But then I choose, and then when I'm choosing these, they're soaking. This one has a large, wide field of agate that seems to go through here. So a lot of this still has to be flaked off, picked off. Um, Sometimes I like a small screwdriver. I get in there and flake a bunch of this junk off. That's actually pretty hard. That's not coming right off. After it's been soaking for a while, it's a little bit easier. Anyway, I determined that this is mid and choice grade. So mid grade, there's a lot of overburden like this, but there's still a decent sized cuttable, carvable stone. It's got some potential. I can tell it's banded. It's got a lot of layers, so there's a lot of places for that color to hide. But then you get choice pieces where, you know, this one looks like it might actually carve just a dynamic stone, and it's a individual bubble, so it might carve one of those bullseye stones if you were to carve it on a flat lap. But that's when it's dry. Choice grade, it just means that there's a lot less overburden. It's the only thing that separates this choice grade from the high grade is it hasn't been windowed, nothing's been opened up, so I can't see any discernible colors yet. So what I'm going to do is I've taken a bunch of random stones, a bunch of mid-grade. This is the same stuff that I sell on eBay, and because people are saying, how do you get it? How do you carve into it? Well, you take all this stuff, you throw it in some water, you soak it for a few days, and then after it's been soaking for a while, you get a chance to observe it. And if there is any color, it's going to be minimal color. There might be just one or two dull colors, maybe a dull green, something like that. Nothing really intense. That's going to be more along the high grade. Like here's another one of those nodules. You can see where it's got the banding through here. These are all the different layers where the agate was deposited. Where it's darkest, that's your best chance of having bright, intense, dark color. So one thing you can do is candle the stones, put a bright flashlight behind it or up next to it, and lo and behold, like this, you can start to see where the banding is, where the colors are. Let's see if we can do that with the dull see, this one isn't even wet, but if you put a bright light up against it, you're going to start to see where the layers are. So once it's soaking for a bit, yeah, you'll start to see those edges. And so all this stuff on the top, this junk still has to be removed down to about there until you start to get into those colors. So what I'm going to do is we're going to work on a little bit of mid-grade. I just want to show you, because this is what I call mid to choice grade. So when I say choice, there really is going to be some high-grade color in here. What I'm doing for a quick extraction, just to reduce material really quickly, with Cutting Edge Supply Company, it's my favorite company. If you haven't shopped with them, make sure you check out their website, Cutting Edge Supply Company. I'll put a link up in there. This is their domed carving burr. These things are great. They come in all sorts of different grits. I like to use an 80 grit, something very aggressive, lots of good teeth. This is a diamond plated, so you don't want to use too much pressure. You want to use lots of water, and a medium cutting speed, maybe 7, 8 to 10,000, maybe up to 12,000 RPM, but not much more. And then I don't like to use more than an ounce or two of pressure at the most. Maybe 2 ounces of pressure, because you don't want to wear out your bit. Then they also have this flat edge carving burr. These things are great. I love these. And this I'm using with my flex shaft tool. And then this just is great for removing material very quickly. Again, make sure if you're going to shop with them, use promo code MARK, M-A-R-K, and you'll get 10% off your shipping, or 10% off your purchase. There is some beautiful material in here. I know I've seen some great colors just at the edge, like just at the edge of that color, just at the edge of that brown. But for the sake of time, what I'd like to do is I'm going to just work with some of these smaller stones because it's easier to rip into them and just access the color very quickly. I'm going to do it rather aggressively. Like I'm going to aggressively just want to get to that color layer. If you're unsure of what you're working with, soak it. Check it in light. If you still can't tell, say it's all dark and you don't get an indication of color, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find an edge where it doesn't look like there's a whole lot going on, and I'm going to start grinding down. See this? I'm going to take off a little corner of it and grind from the top down to see if I get, purple, teal, pink, any of the other colors that frequently will pop up. And I'll just, if I see that, then I'll map it out. I'll know where the stone color is, so I can grind down to the color layer above it and then stop. Alrighty, let's get a little carving done. I'm going to probably put a mask on here. Again, please be careful while you're carving. Stop. Take frequent breaks. Assess your work area. Make sure it's not cluttered. Make sure you're not wearing loose sleeves or clothing that might get caught up in your tool. If you need, use some hearing protection. Protect your eyes. Wear some visors or goggles. Don't get that stuff in your eyes. Please wear a mask. I recommend at least an N95 mask or better. I like using a respirator, something that allows me to breathe a little easier. Just you don't want to be breathing the rock particles. You don't want to be breathing this rock dust. It's really terrible stuff. It's silicate, so you don't want to be breathing silica dust with the possible risk of silicosis. See, this is mid-grade, but let's zoom in. I can see, obviously, it's the leading edge of these bubbles. So I inspected all these under magnification with a magnifying visor, but I go through rather quickly, and I like to err in favor of the customer, so there are going to be some pieces in here that have ridiculous potential. Anyway, all that being said, let's get a little carving done. Alright, before I finally pull the mask up, I do want to share again. When you're candling the stone, when you're checking the stone, see, it's nice to have a bright light source in the background. It'll tell me right here, right there where there's that dark layer of agate that starts. That's about where I want to start, is just at the leading edge above that. There may be other color that's popping up in these layers. See, because there is banding. And so it's entirely possible you'll get a little ghost fire in there. A color that pops up might be bright, might be pretty. You might find purple and blues. But it's really hard to show off without a dark background. So what I want is I want this dark background. This will tell me, I can come in here now and make some pen marks and figure out exactly what has to get cut off and know that this is what I want to tap into to start seeing the most potential for color. You'll see it again. See, there's a layer up here where it looks like there's some color, and that might be a really bright, wonderful color, but it's also very thin, so if you go through it, you don't really have a safety net. Down here you have more of a safety net, so you could grind down to this, and then you've got all the different layers of agate here to go through still. Let's see, which one should I do? This one looks fun. Yeah, so I've got to get through that. Luckily on this edge, see, and this is formed at two different times. These are separate nodules that have grown where they might share a similar one. This one formed, it looks like, and then, no, they pretty much run continuous. These lines do meet up, except there's a little more growth on this edge. It's much darker down here. So what I'll do is I'll start from the top down. I'm going to be a little aggressive. Let me put my mask on. Forgive the loud noise. I'm really sorry about that. And this is where I'm grinding. Some people like to fast forward. You can if you'd like to. Let's see. I'm just going to expose some color. Let me zoom out. Dip the stone frequently. Keep it wet. Keep your burr wet. Keep it moist. When I say about 2 ounces of pressure, it's about right. If you're not sure, take it, put it on the kitchen scale, lay it out. Know what your pressure is. Alright. Stop frequently and inspect. Let's get this off. Alright, stop frequently and inspect your stone. Check to see what's happening. And then up here, I do see some, like a dull purple through there. See, that's that ghosty color. It's starting to come out. I'd like to get a little bit deeper into this meat of this agate to start going for the color, but that leading edge dull purple might lead into some darker purple. It's kind of a gamble. I think what I'd like to do is, instead I'm just going to work this ridge right here on the outside. I think I'd like to Let's see, should I stick with the top or work the bottom? I think I'll continue working on the top here. Let's mask back up. Okay, come back up. There we go. Don't force the bit. Nice gentle pressure. Don't let it get hot, don't let it dry out. Alright, I've been, once again, I'm trying to experiment with a different camera angle so you can see a little more detail. Let's see if this is actually working. It's a little awkward still, so bear with me as I figure it out. I might have to switch back to the box because it's got a little more stability. You can see those bubbles starting to poke out. You can see those bubbles starting to come up through that chalcedony, that covering right there. They're still dull right now. See, that is brightening up some. Well, let's just keep going. I want to go through at least this tail edge right here. I want to grind through basically all the way through until I see something that's just dynamic or beautiful colors popping up. Alright, back to the mask. Another safe way to do it is wait till the bit stops and get it wet. You can go slower. I just know how much pressure I can use safely. Let's see. Alright, let's see what we got here. So I started grinding through to the base, and looks like it breaks up in between, and then there's still different color layers. But what I do see up here in this layer of bubbles, I see that kind of faint purple from this angle. So what I'd do is, if I were going for that purple, I would start on that layer and then slowly peel away with a much finer bit. I'm going to peel away the brown and start to expose that valley. For this, it's just sampling the stone. I'm testing the stone. I'm seeing what's available. It's not trying to pull the color out yet. It's like if I was going for this stone, I wouldn't just grind through. I'd figure out where I wanted to start, then get to that point at one edge, like here, and then follow it back like a puzzle. Alright, I wasn't super happy with what I was seeing, so I went and rinsed the stone off better. Wash the stones frequently. That's why I use a little bit of jet dry to make it a little bit easier. And you start to see, let's see if that magnification is good. With the better light, you start to see there is a lot of purple, there's some pinks, there's some other high-grade colors coming through there. So what I do is stop there, and I'm going to grind it down slowly to it. I'm not going to use this coarse burr anymore. I've exposed it on the side. I can see there's seems to be a purple or teal under there. So that's what I'm going to work toward. And that's how I would break into the stone. That's how I would initially start to carve it. Determine where your top is, your leading edge, and then work down to that color. Once you've exposed the edge, it's a lot easier to work into. You just save that edge, you stay off the color, and you just slowly grind down into the brown as you expose the color. But that I would be doing with a fine sintered bit or some sanding bits to kind of get down into that. Anyway, that's the mid to choice that I have. That's some of the colors that are available just even in that one piece. I know that when I go through these, oftentimes I'll see something where I wonder, is this high grade or is this mid grade? And if I'm not sure, I toss it in the mid to choice grade, because I'd rather someone else, find that good color and just enjoy it. I don't want anyone to be disappointed. Anyway, oh yeah, there's some really good color right in there. You can see. Anyway, when I'm inspecting, it's usually under magnification. The stones are wet. When the stones are dry and I put them in the pile after I've inspected them, that's the mid to choice pile. When I weigh them, it's a blind grab. I make sure it weighs over a pound. Yeah, there's definitely purple right there. I make sure it weighs over a pound, and I ship those off. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please click like and subscribe if you haven't. I'll be back with some more videos very shortly. Have a wonderful day. It's good to see you.